Hey everyone, today I'm going to be showing you how to create this graph in Swift Charts and SwiftUI. And you can see here that when we press this randomized button or randomized data button, that it changes the goal line, it changes the scale of the y-axis of the graph, and it also changes and animates the bar graphs themselves. All right, so the first thing we need to do is create a new project. Oops, animated bar graph is fine. Make sure it's selected as a SwiftUI project. And the first thing we need to do here is to create our model for our data. So we're going to create a new Swift file. We're going to call it video. We're going to add a struct called video. And this needs to be both identifiable, conforming to both identifiable and equatable. We're going to have let ID is a UUID. Let source is a string, and a var view count is a int. Okay. So now we have our struct for our data. We're going to go ahead and initialize some of them. So we'll say var videos is an array of video. And we will initialize some of them. We'll call this one SEO, 112 views, 122 views. We'll call this one social, 48 views. Call this one other, and we'll call this 112. And we'll do one more and we'll call it direct. And we'll call this 58. All right. So that is our array of our videos. This is the main data that the chart is going to be used to build and populate its data. We need to now add a range for the Y scale. So state of our Y scale is a closed range of 0 to 20. And we need to also add a goal line, which if you remember seeing, this is going to be our goal line right here. So we'll say goal line is an int, and we'll just make it 100 for now. Okay, so before we get started actually building this graph, I'm actually going to, first of all, import charts. You won't get far without that. That just imports the framework into our project. And instead of building it in this body here, I'm actually going to create a view builder function, and that will make it a bit easier to read. Instead of having tons of view code in there, we can separate it and we can just have, something like this. Build chart makes it a bit easier when you're looking back over it later. Let's return some view. And we're going to start building this. Here is our chart. The first thing we need to add is the initial data, the initial bars right here. So that's what we're going to add first. Bar mark, a value, source, and the value is our video dot source. Oops, this is wrong. Apologize. First, we need to add a for each of our videos. Video in. Now we can add those bar marks. So bar mark, I'm gonna just format these a little bit to make it easier to read as well. Let's see if I can do this right. There we go. So that should make it a little bit easier to read. We're going to add a value called source, and this is our video source. Okay. Value, this is our views and our video dot view count. Need a comment there. And this width, this is going to make sure that all of them are evenly spaced. We'll just add automatic there. Okay, so there is our initial bar marks for this for each of data. We need to add a few modifiers on this just to make it look presentable the way we want it to. So I'll add a foreground style of pink with a gradient. And we'll add a corner radius of 10. Let's go 3. 5. Let's do 5. Okay, so that looks pretty good already, but there's more we can do here. I'm going to add a little bit more uh, view modifiers onto the chart as a whole just to frame it a little bit better before we add the other elements. So I'll say padding, give it a little padding on the sides. We can say set the frame size. We'll just set the height on this, 400. Okay, so that already looks a lot better, which is good. What else do we need to add? We need to add our chart Y scale. Where is it? Okay, Y scale of our domain, which is our Y scale. Get rid of this. So this will automatically scale it based on whatever this value is. So if we say 0 to 420, it'll shoot up there. And this way you can, set it appropriately so that the data is representable and readable. If we say 120, that actually might make more sense here. Okay. Let's see. Did I miss anything else? I might come back if I miss something, but for now, let's just keep building. Okay, we're going to add a rule mark, and we're going to give it a Y value of our goal, and this is going to be our goal line. So you can see there we've added our goal line, which is currently set at 100. This is not right. We need to foreground style. We'll give it a mint color. All right. And line style, I believe. Forget what it's called. Let me look at my other project. Hold on. Stroke style. Hard to remember all these things sometimes. Line width. We'll give this a line width of 1, and we'll add a dash of an array of 5. So now you should be able to see. Looks a bit better. Okay. So we'll also add an annotation to this. Text of goal. We'll give this a font of caption and a foreground style of gray. Oh, you know what? This needs, this is actually going to be blocked right now, but we're going to give this an alignment of dot leading, which is going to push this all the way to the edge of our graph. And it's still blocked because it's underneath, this rule mark is underneath this bar mark, the for each of bar marks. So to create some space for that, we're going to create an additional bar mark. And this is going to be basically empty. And we're going to do this just to create extra space so that this will be visible at all times. Okay, so we'll add value here. We'll just call the source empty string value here. views, and we'll call this 0. So this will now make space for our goal to be visible at all times, which is great. Okay, and looks good. Looks good to me. So what we're going to do now, because we didn't animate this yet, and it's very simple to do, and I'll show you that in a second. I'm going to close this. We're going to create a new button with a label, text, randomized data, foreground color of white, background color of pink. Give this some padding and frame. We'll do max width of infinity. And we'll also give this corner radius of 10. Okay. So this doesn't do anything yet because we haven't added a function to it yet, but we will say func randomize. You know what? I'm actually going to copy this from my other project because it's not really part of the video, but basically what this is going to do is rewrite the values in our videos here, these values. And it'll also overwrite the range for our Y scale and the goal line to be, in line with the other data there. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it over. So there's our randomized data. You can freeze it here if you want to take a look at this. I believe I called this chart range, but we'll just rename this to Y scale. And we have some other problems. View count. What's the problem? I believe it's because I didn't establish this as a state variable, state property. So there we go. This is our function. And so now when we add this function into the closure here, we can see randomized data. Press it. It's going to change it automatically. Changes the scale of it, changes the goal, and it changes each individual bar mark. And so the very last thing we need to do is within our chart at the very end, as a view modifier, we're going to add an animation with a value. So this one we'll just call bouncy. There's a bunch of them that you can try out. And we're going to, every time the value for our videos changes, every time that changes, we want to animate all of the changes. Okay, so if we press it now, we can see the Y scale changing, we can see the goal line changing, and the individual data. And that extra space right here makes it so that we can always see our goal line visible, clearly visible. All right. So that's it for now. Thank you for watching, and I will put this project up on GitHub in the description of this video. So thanks for checking it out.